Again. To those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Mark Lindsay, and you're watching Thrifting Vinyl with Mark. Since you're already here, can you please help me out? Click that subscribe button below. It would really mean a lot. Thank you. This channel was created to combine my love of 80s music with my newfound hobby of thrifting and an overall feeling of nostalgia. In my opinion, it doesn't get any better than a good thrift store or a good flea market to deliver such an immediate, impactful feeling of nostalgia. Now, thrifting has become a very popular hobby. It's also become a very popular subject for vlogs and YouTube channels. Now, some people thrift with the intent of reselling the items for profit on eBay or Mercari, and others, like my wife Christine, thrift for vintage items that can be used for home decor. Now, vinyl, on the other hand, has really made a comeback in the world of music. Vinyl never totally really went away, but with the popularity of CDs in the 80s and 90s, and ultimately MP3s and digital music that we have today, vinyl took a backseat as technology changed. Now, in recent years, similar to comics or sports card collecting, vinyl records have made a really big comeback. Now, there are some thrifting and flea market flipping channels all over YouTube. There are also channels that showcase vinyl collections, as well as chasing those hard to find holy grail albums, This channel is going to pull from some of those types while making it my own. I'm not looking to resell the vinyl. And I'm not looking to fully collect, although Christine would probably disagree with that point. Instead, I'm looking to purchase vinyl mostly from the 80s. Now, I'm sure I'm going to grab some 60s and 70s along the way. I know me better than anything else. With that said, this is dedicated more looking at an 80s nostalgia trip than anything else. With all of that said, let's dive right into my first week of thrifting vinyl. Now, here's the album vinyl that got me set on my path. It is Missing Persons Spring Session M. I picked this up for $3. Now, I'm 45 and I lived in Philadelphia my entire life. We had rock stations, we had top 40 stations, but I don't think we had a new wave station, at least that I know of. When I first subscribed to satellite radio in 2003, I was drawn to First Wave, channel 33 on Sirius XM if you have it. Missing Persons was a California band that played a huge role in the success of 80s new wave music here in the States, and this album features their two most known songs, Destination Unknown and Walking in LA. When I saw this, I had to grab it, and that was before I even owned a record player. More on that later. In the same store, and actually right next to Missing Persons, was the 12-inch single to Robert Palmer's I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. Now, this is the extended dance mix. It's an 8-minute version of the song. And what's even cooler is that side B, the second side, has arguably Robert Palmer's most famous song, and that is Addicted to Love. So this 12-inch single has both Addicted to Love and I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. Now, I mean no disrespect, but those two songs were the best songs on his 85 album Riptide, and they're both on this side B of this single. It's a great pickup if you ask me. We went to another store, and they had 45s from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And 45s for you younger folks, younger peeps, were the singles to the albums. And I picked up a few of these. And if you're a fan of 80s music, you are going to know these songs. We're going to start with Debarge and Rhythm of the Night. Now, this song reached a peak of number 3 on the US Billboard charts in April of '85. Here's the kicker. The B-side of Rhythm of the Night didn't do too shabby either. In fact, Who's Holding Donna Now reached number 6 in the US Billboard charts in July of '85. Next is Heart. Now, this was off of their 1986 album, Heart. It's These Dreams. This song reached number 1 in the US Billboard charts in March of '86. And here's a little nugget of trivia regarding the song. This was the first Heart song that Nancy Wilson sang. It was the first Heart single that Nancy Wilson sang instead of Ann. And an interesting side note is that during the studio recording of the song, Nancy had a cold, which added a raspiness to her voice that wasn't able to be duplicated for future recordings. So even though the band tried different tunes or different keys, things were tried to be tightened up. They couldn't duplicate the raspiness of Nancy's voice, which I always thought was kind of cool. That was the version that made it to the single and made it on their album. Another 45 I picked up was Kylie Minogue's cover of Locomotion. Now, this song peaked at number 3 in July of '88, the same month I was hoping that Lex Luger was going to beat Ric Flair for the NWA World title, but I digress. Kylie was, let's say she was more popular across the pond, but this cover was still pretty fun for the '80s cheese that it was. You can't talk '80s music without talking about the women that rocked, and one of the women that rocked was Patti Smythe. This particular case, Scandal, and The Warrior. The song peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 100 charts and would reach number 1 in the Billboard US rock charts. The last single I picked up was Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Talk to me, Goose! Of course, this song was featured on the Top Gun soundtrack. Kenny Loggins was a little bit of a soundtrack hooah back in his day. This song peaked at number 2 on the US Billboard charts in July of '86. All of these albums were $1. We ended this week's vinyl thrifting at a Goodwill store that was close to my house, and I found some really great stuff, including Chicago Live at Carnegie Hall. It's a 4 LP set. This was the most I spent for any vinyl on my trip. It was $8.99. The album has some of my favorite early Chicago songs, such as 25 to 6 to 4. Does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care about time? I'm a Man, and Beginnings. Only the beginning. The store also had the soundtrack to the 1979 movie Midnight Express. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that at 12 years old, I had this soundtrack on cassette. Now, it has one of the coolest instrumental songs of all time with the song Chase. I didn't see the movie until I was 16 or 17, so why would a 12-year-old have a Midnight Express soundtrack? Because Chase was the inspiration to the theme song of my all-time favorite wrestling tag team, Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan, the Midnight Express. This bad boy was $2.49. We're going to end today's Thrifting Vinyl with Mark with yet another $2.49 pickup, Steve Winwood's 1986 album, Back in the High Life. This album features 4 top 20 hits, including Freedom Overspill, which reached number 20 in August of '86. You had Higher Love, which reached number 1 in September of '86. You had, where is it at? Back in the High Life, that reached number 1 in December of '86. And The Finer Things reached number 3 in April of 1987. Well, hey, that's going to do it for this week's debut episode of Thrifting Vinyl with Mark. Did any of my pickups bring back memories for you? Was there a favorite? Maybe a least favorite? Leave a comment below. I love to engage in conversation. The next episode is going to feature some purchases I made on an online flea market, including buying a record player. I mean, come on. Buying vinyls is fun, but listening to them is even better. Thanks for watching Thrifting Vinyl with Mark, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and be safe out there. See ya.